Call this meeting to order. I pledge allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Roll call, please.
Mrs. Thompson? Here. Mrs. Moore? Here. Mr. Gray?
Here.
Mr. Bittner,
Here.
Ms. Wong? Here. Mr. Lunder?
Here.
Mr. Johnson?
Here. Approval of the minutes from the regular meeting of council, November 26, 2024. Are there any additions or corrections to the minutes? I believe there was a correction.
I believe we need a correction to the amend the vote tally on passage of 2024-0-27, which was the moratorium measure. To passage by a vote of 4-2.
Okay, is there a second to amend it?
Second that motion.
Motion made by Ms. Wong, seconded by Mrs. Moore. Are there any roll call on the amendment, please?
Mrs. Thompson?
Abstain.
Mrs. Moore?
Aye.
Mr. Gray?
Aye.
Mr. Bittner,
Aye.
Ms. Wong?
Aye.
Mr. Lunder?
Aye.
Mr. Johnson?
Aye. Are there any other additions or corrections to the minutes? Okay, then is there a motion to approve the minutes as amended? Motion to approve as amended.
Second.
Motion made by Mr. Launder, seconded by Mr. Gray. Roll call, please.
Mrs. Thompson?
Abstain.
Mrs. Moore?
Aye.
Mr. Gray?
Aye.
Mr. Bittner,
Aye.
Ms. Wong?
Aye.
Mr. Lunder?
Aye.
Mr. Johnson?
Aye. Correspondence clerk, is there any correspondence this evening? Does any member of council have correspondence this evening?
I do. I received a message from Michael and Randy Andre, Ward 4 residents, on December 1st, who wrote that they love the new city signs, that it's a great nautical design, and this is a well-deserved compliment to the city.
Thank you. All right. Is there a motion to go into executive session to discuss a personnel matter?
Motion made to go to executive session for,
Motion made by Mrs. Moore, Mrs. Thompson, seconded by Mr. Lunder. Roll call, please.
Mrs. Thompson?
aye.
Mrs. Moore?
Aye.
Mr. Gray?
Aye.
Mr. Bittner,
Aye.
Ms. Wong?
Aye.
Mr. Lunder?
Aye.
Mr. Johnson?
Aye. We're going into executive session.
And this Lee Taylor sitting out there all Ireland.
Every time. All be committed.
Yeah, this is a Christmas party. That's purple, that's personal. Yeah.
That's. That was quick. That's great. It was. I call this meeting back to order. Roll call, please.
Mrs. Thompson? Here. Mrs. Moore?
Here.
Mr. Gray?
Here.
Mr. Bittner,
Here.
Ms. Wong? Here. Mr. Lunder?
Here.
Mr. Johnson?
Here. All right, Administrative Department Head Reports. Mayor and Safety Director, Mayor Eva, good evening.
Good evening, Mr. Johnson, council, public here this evening. Tonight is Jim Lyons night. I would call him up and also have a special guest here. Mr. Rogers, would you like to join us? Nice.
You don't have to stand up. No, not much.
No.
Never. But you remember this guy, right?
I do. I was gonna mention that my remarks
Don't. From the office of the mayor, City of Mount Island Lake proclamation in recognition and appreciation to Mr. James M. Lyons. Upon the occasion of his retirement, this proclamation is made to James M. Lyons as a testimonial of his commitment to the city of Mount Island Lake, which began on February 1st, 1988, and formally ending December 31st, 2024. Mr. Lyons has provided exemplary legal counsel and guidance to the city council, city departments, and the community, ensuring the city's legal matters were handled with the utmost professionalism and integrity. The city of Mount Island Lake today honors the service and dedication Mr. Lyons has exhibited throughout his 36 years as the law director for the city of Mount Island. Mr. Lyons has been instrumental in commercial and residential real estate projects, filing legal action for the city when there have been class action lawsuits, and extensive legal research greatly benefiting the city of Mount Island Lake and its residents. Mr. Lyons has earned the respect and admiration of colleagues, city officials, and the community for their unwavering commitment to justice, fairness, and the rule of law. Mr. Lyons will be retiring on December 31st, leaving behind a legacy of excellence and a lasting impact on the city of Mount Island Lake. Thank you, sir.
Well, thank you. Can I say a few words?
You sure?
I can use this as my report.
Okay.
So, feel like Paul Morris. You're better looking, but. So, as I live in Paynesville and I usually drive up Lake Shore Boulevard to come here. So I passed a couple of landmarks as I came. Crane's Landing, so I stopped at Crane's Landing, put down a deposit on a new townhouse, okay? Then as I continued past Crane's Landing, I saw Dollar General, So I went in and I got some fresh fruit there, okay, courtesy of the Mentor Lake Council. I then went outside and I took a selfie with the black and white sign, okay? So now, obviously, all that was kind of supposed to be funny. I hope somebody laughed, other than me. Coming up, I wanted to say thank you. I think I've been lucky. I know Lou Gehrig, 87 years ago, gave a farewell speech. He had Yankee Stadium, 60,000 people, and I don't think we quite have that many here today. But in that farewell speech, he said he was the luckiest man on the face of the earth. I'm not gonna go that far, okay? But I do feel that I've been lucky and very fortunate to be involved with Mentor Lake all the years. And I gotta correct the mayor. I think it's more like 36.9 months is how long that's been. I think February would make it a full 37 months. I've been lucky, to work with some great people. The first one was John Crocker, who I thought was a tremendous mayor. And then he went on to higher pursuits. And then John Rogers was sitting right where Councilperson Wong was before he became the council president, moving over to the vice president's spot when Dale Langdon retired, became the mayor. Okay, and then he was the mayor. And I thought he did a tremendous job. And then Dave Egan. Okay, so only 3 mayors during that whole time. And I thought that was pretty remarkable. And in terms of police chiefs, there really never been that many police chiefs either. Okay, back when I started, sort of, there was Bill Shamar. He was only here a short time. But then Ed Wild passed away young, who did a very good job and was such an honest, hardworking guy who died at a young age. Okay. And then John Rogers, I'm surprised he's here, wanted to upgrade the police department. Okay, and he went outside and he got Joe Duran, thanks. Joe Duran and John Rogers put in a program to make the police department more professional in terms of guidelines and all the things that police departments have now. But it started here with John Rogers, what he did. Okay. And then John Rogers did so many things, he should be up here, not me. And then there's been so many, then after Joe Duran, there was John Keeling, who just recently retired. And once again, a tremendous police chief. But now we're lucky to have John Forsythe. I never really worked with the fire department all that much, but I did work, when I worked with the fire department quite a bit. I worked with Bob Mahoney, who was here for years and years and years. And he had a guy that worked with him all the time who was very, very active, and that was Paul. Okay, and so that's when I got to know Paul Morris. I was lucky to get to know Paul Morris, and I still feel lucky to know Paul Morris. So then you look at the people that were in the service department. I hope I'm not going on too long. But then there were some great people in the service department. Bert Wynn, was back then, did the zoning. Okay, then he left, and then we had Dwayne Bailey, who was tremendous, and then we had some more guy, I don't remember his name, but he was also tremendous. And we've been so lucky, I think, to have such really good employees, and I hope I was one of them, and I feel lucky, and I just like to thank everybody. Okay, thank you.
You don't have to say. I know this is what she's, but this is curious. I'm still up. I want to correct something I said in the last meeting. Mr. Lyons and I met with the Lake County Auditor's Office, and they do not offer an opinion on our CRA projects. What we give them is what they post. They do ask if we change the legislation, that they get a copy of that. But they take what we give them and they process it through the auditor's office. So I misspoke on that one. We had a snowstorm, I think most of us are aware. Jim Tarowski gave me kind of a recap of that. There were 3 salt trucks in service. The miles driven for all 3, one was 683, 566 on the other one, and 280 on the other one. Salt used, we used 198.4 tons of salt. Overtime, there were 163 hours. We did have one of the salt trucks, broke down at a certain point. Jim had to replace the hydraulic pump. We also had the sidewalk plow, was not operational, and Jim was able to fix that. Other than that, he says, you know, we got a lot of messages. We answered a lot of messages, and I know, Jim responded to the majority of the residents, and they understood. You know, so this storm was extreme, and there were delays in clearing the side streets and sidewalk. That was his report. The fire department report for November. November, there were 110 calls for service, 38 fire service calls, 72 rescue EMS calls. Of the 72 calls, there were 6 calls for invalid assist. There were no calls requiring Narcan. Department training, EMS drills are always presented by UH Lake Health. The topic was EMS run reviews. Department shift drills. EMS did pediatric respiratory emergencies. Fire did fire detection, protection, and suppression systems. In November, 3 of our career firefighters completed the Blue Card Command Training Program, which consisted of 40 hours of classwork and 24 hours of hands-on simulation lab. Chief has also submitted our application to the Federal Assistance to Firefighters Grant, the AFG grant, requesting $136,824 to replace our aging heart monitor defibrillators on our squads. Chief Forsyth gave me a memo. Sunday, we had our Santa's Blue Helpers program. I was able to assist along with Lieutenant Messenger, Patrolman Terrell, Patrolman Greg Gideon and his family, Patrolman Ron Morenz and his wife Sherry, our communication officers Kristen Story and her daughter Brooke, our communication officer Lori Hughes, firefighter Aaron Husted and his family, and our Vice President of Council Desiree Thompson. We had 21 children this year. Each received a 200 gift card to purchase gifts. We went to Target. The kids were able to ride in the limo to Target. It was very nice. There was a pizza party and magic show. And once again, Lieutenant Messenger did a great job, even while on maternity leave, putting all this together. So I want to really thank Tina for her time and effort put into the program. That concludes my report tonight.
Okay, Administrative Director, good evening.
Just, we're having a annual employee holiday lunch on December 20th. If anyone wants to stop in, it starts at 11:30. Or if you'd like to bring us treats. And then just the 2 ordinances I put in, vacation ordinance. Today's agenda just really had, in my opinion, just 2 major changes, which was to allow employees to be taking vacation after 90 days, but I have to read it here. And then, changing the way our vacations are reported. So the auditor suggested that we adopt a better system for approving vacations. And then the appropriations amendment, the mayor and council was increased just because the new employees, you know, setting up their laptops and toner and stuff like that. And then, the rest of the ordinance was mostly just moving, money to cover overtime for police and fire.
Good, thank you. Law Director, do you have anything else you want to add today?
Well, I want to amend my thank you. Forgot Kip Mullen. So.
Yeah, you can't forget Kip.
Right, Kip was a significant part of my time here at NRLA. I know when he retired, I referred to him as LeBron James of fiscal officers, because I thought he had done a great job year after year after year. I think his being here, I don't know if he was here quite as long as me overall, but if not, pretty close. And he always had the best interest of the city at heart, as do all the council people that I've dealt with. Okay? And all of the council people, I think I can say to a person that they've all had the best interest of the city at heart. Sometimes they disagree, and there's never enough money. But boy, everybody just tries so hard, tries to do the right thing. I'd like to applaud and congratulate everybody, both the current councils and all of the prior councils. Thank you. So that's it. No more amendment. No more speech. Okay.
All right, questions for the administration? Mrs. Moore.
So I know in the past, we've usually had a significant surplus of salt because the winters have been very mild. And I think we budgeted for about 300 ton this year. And hearing the report from this storm, we probably have used more than half of that in just this one storm. So I didn't know, do we still have salt in reserve that we can tap into if we need it? Or if we have more storms like this, do we need to come up with a plan to make sure we have enough salt to keep the roads open and safe?
We basically, this time around, used up. Of the actual, that we have out back is still full. And then we hadn't actually ordered any of the new salt yet, because we order in increments throughout the year. So I mean, obviously this is happening every other week, like we're gonna have a problem, but we should be okay. And then we have obviously like come next season, well, we can increase it some more than what we ordered this year.
Good. Other questions for the administration? I have a question for Mr. Lyons. When did you exactly start as law director? Because I went looking through the ordinances and I must have screwed it up, so.
Well, before I was the law director, city prosecutor,
Ah,
that's how I got here.
oh, so law director, when did you start as law director?
Probably,
January 1991.
I think that's about right.
Oh, good, then I got it right and I feel much better. Okay, thank you.
Right,
That's all I needed.
Bill Weaver, who was a very, very good law director, decided, the people elected him to become the juvenile court judge. And council and the mayor at that time, who was Jack Cracker, looked around and they said, well, we'll give you a chance. And I just kept going. Okay, so 1991 is when I became a law judge.
Yeah, thank you. Just wanted to make sure of that. 'Cause
But
otherwise I have to change my resolution and that's a whole problem and we have to amend it,
But actually, it was a very good thing to have been the city prosecutor, because you got to know all the police and you got to know all of those people at that level, which was really important, I thought, in terms of just going forward with, doing what I do now. Anyways, that was just what I thought.
All right, thank you. All right, we will now move on to board committee and commissioner reports. Zoning committee.
The zoning committee met on 12/9, which was yesterday. The attendants were myself, Michelle Moore, Jeannie Wong, Chuck Snyder, and Rob Johnson. During our meeting, we reviewed the section 1280.05, which outlines the condition of parking areas and material use for driveways and aprons. We then drafted a final version of this section to be sent to the law director. Additionally, we discussed section 1242.03 concerning conditional use permits. During our discussion, we prepared a draft that will be revisited in future meetings, along with some questions that need to be answered. Mr. Snyder raised a concern about the challenges of searching noise-related ordinances, noting that it yielded numerous results due to inclusion of the word noise in the regulations. We were explained that we cannot eliminate the search word because of the state rules of some sort. He also mentioned that section 660.05 regarding snow removal on sidewalks. And we agreed that we're going to gather more information on that particular issue because of the sidewalk snow clouds being down. That concludes my report. It ended, started at 6:30 and it ended at 8 o'clock. Get a copy. Okay.
Is there any other board committee or commission reports? Okay, hearing none, we'll move on to open the public speak. If you'd like to speak, please come to the lectern, state your name and address for the record. Again, this is your opportunity to speak to council. It isn't a back and forth with council.
Jason Morris, 5845 Lake Road. Last time we met, I brought up issues I had with the current CRA, the verbiage on it, the ordinances that I could look up online. I still hold those concerns because I do believe that, as Council President Rob Johnson said before, this was to prevent new construction of new dwellings. I did not build a dwelling, I built a garage. There is a provision in the ordinance that clearly does state that not eligible for a new construction of a new dwelling. Again, I built a garage, not a dwelling, not living there. Some might think I live there, but I don't. But I'm still concerned about this, because according to the ordinance, I've got, I believe it's 6 months from the time the construction was deemed completed. So the clock is ticking on this. And I did request with Jacqueline to have a hearing for an appeal with the CRA council on this, because again, I've got a lot of concerns with this. Again, I still bring up, our website still has this document. Doesn't spell out new construction, doesn't spell out remodel. It says, per the website, these are accepted improvements. And in there is a garage and an outbuilding. If these are not accepted, why have we not amended the website? Yeah, we got rid of 11-month-old information that I'm the one that brought up. So I'd like to somehow find out what the status of this appeal hearing, so I know when and where to attend it. That is all.
Okay, thank you. Anyone else?
Yes, I'm Stan Pawlowski, live at 7589 Salida Road. And I just want to make comment to the effect that there's a consideration of ordinance dealing with noise and upgrade. And I know this will affect me or help me in my area, in my problems with my neighbor. I'm not against people getting together and having a good time, but there is an ordinance dealing with noise. The wife and I both talked about it. The previous council person turned us on to the mayor. He says he will handle that. Send him an email. If I may read real quick, that which the Mayor Eva did respond. He says, thank you for sending this email. We have codified ordinance 648.13B, which states operation of tools, machinery, etc. This is what we have in place. All of our officers are code enforcement officers. They are aware of any changes to our ordinance. I hope this helps. It says if you have a problem with noise, he recommended a non-911 number to dispatch and state your complaint. We'll have an officer there to go over the situation. Now, that was 4 years ago. And since then, I've been trying to work with my neighbor, letting him know that I'm running out of patience with his parties and going on late in the evening, sometimes overnight. He has the ability to house people there, which is not wrong with that, except the fact when you leave your guests outside who have no allegiance to the neighborhood, they're the ones making the noise. Sometimes it's hard to even find the owner to say, hey, how about knocking it off? So I do now with a new council lady. I did mention to her that when I read 648.13, I found that it was short. It talked about equipment, it talked about everything else, but it didn't talk about denotes people, or persons, or group of persons. And in a residential area, you usually get more of that. I did attend some of the ordinance meetings. I had the ordinance committee talk about different cities, how they're handling it. And who would handle, how they handle noise complaints, et cetera. And it usually falls on the shoulders of the police, which is something that I'm a little reluctant to do, because I know they have enough going on in their world that this is something that neighbors should take care of. Chief Forsythe attended one of the meetings. He went on to, again, talk about the way, who I did have a chance to meet with earlier before he retired. And they reinforced the fact that the police will respond if you call. And that I said, well, how many times do you call before it becomes a real problem where you move to the next step? And he says that is something that we'll talk with the mayor and legal counsel. And this is all good. So everything was moving in the right direction. I did read completely the new ordinance 648.15. And it's on noise, and I like the way it's written. It's ample for a city of this size. Hopefully it doesn't have to be used from the standpoint where you have to call in the police, but everybody is different. I think a person living in the city, especially a residential area, has to be responsible and be aware that there is an ordinance on noise. And that when the time comes, it will be enforced by the police and any steps they may want to take. So with that, I would recommend that council has a chance to vote on this noise ordinance. I hope you do. To me, noise is noise and an ordinance is ordinance. And everybody in the community, something like this should be aware of it and respond, hopefully, as a responsible Mentor Lake citizen. Thank you.
Thank you. Anyone else tonight, please?
Stan, can you pronounce your last name?
Powaski, Powaski.
Thank you.
Anyone else? Hearing none, we will close this portion open to the public to speak. Legislation before council, ordinance number 2024-0-20. If you could please read it by its title.
Ordinance number 2024-0-20, second reading, referred to ordinance committee. An ordinance amending the zoning code by creating new chapter 1270 of the codified ordinances for the regulation of short-term rentals in the city and declaring an emergency.
This is still in the ordinance committee, is that correct?
That is correct.
Okay. Ordinance number 2024-0-22, if you could please read it by its title.
Ordinance number 2024-0-22, second reading, referred to ordinance committee. An ordinance amending codified ordinances 452.01, 452.17, and 452.99, and repealing ordinances 452.02 and 452.03 relating to parking on the streets.
This is still in the ordinance committee, is that correct?
That is correct.
Okay. Ordinance number 2024-0-23, if you please read it by its title.
Ordinance number 2024-0-23, third reading, an ordinance creating codified ordinance 248.15, noise.
Okay, is there any discussion on this tonight?
I have a comment. So last night in the zoning committee meeting, Mr. Schneider brought up the search of noise through our ordinances that really then revealed 30+ references to noise, and the question as to whether any of those might conflict with our proposed 648.15. Most of them are related either to the motor vehicle code or to the animal code, which are separate and don't really have conflict with what's proposed in 648.15. The exception would actually be the ordinance to which Mr. Powaski is referring, that is 648.13, which is the loading and unloading. It does have a sentence on machinery, tools and machinery, and hours. That is probably the only one of those 30+ references that I looked through that would cause a potential conflict with what we have written in 648-15. And the simple solution would be to actually incorporate the loading and unloading into the new 648-15 and then get rid of 648-13 loading and unloading. That would be probably the easiest way to incorporate that. But the new 648-15 would do exactly what Mr. Kvosky is suggesting, in that it would create a more robust residential noise ordinance so that everyone could refer back to it and be more clear on what during certain circumstances might be considered.
And I would say maybe to keep 13 and add it for business 1, business 2 instead of residential, because I think that was created for that district.
The other discussion on this,
Does it have to go back to committee?
well, it depends. Are we going to look at just amending 648.13 so that it reflects business 1, business 2? In which case then it doesn't affect this ordinance.
Although I do believe Ms. Moore also had some unresolved questions from last time. I just wanted to make sure that those got addressed.
Yeah, I was, I can talk about that later. Yeah. So I still don't see this is gonna be easily enforceable. I looking back through the police reports as to like what calls they're getting and things like that. I don't see much in there when it comes to like the noise and that, except for fireworks around the month of July. Seems like there's a lot of family issues that show up on that report. Not a whole lot about noise. There's stuff about like neighbor disputes on there, but it doesn't really clearly say what those neighbor disputes are. Seeing the snowstorm we just had, having a paragraph in there about operation of snow removal equipment and things like that. I disagree with that being in there. And like I said, I see this really opening up a can of worms for more neighbor disputes. And especially in the summertime when kids are outside playing, people are sitting on their decks and their patios by their pools, having a fire at night. Especially when you have neighbors who don't like neighbors, it's just gonna turn into a bunch of phone calls about, well, now we have this noise ordinance, they should be cited. You know, I see this really not having a positive impact on our neighborhoods. I just don't.
I would like to make a motion for passage.
Can I weigh in for a second? Would it?
Anytime you'd like. It's your last night. Of course you can.
Does it make sense maybe to delete section 9? Because you're already at section 13, you know, and an ordinance that's already been passed and either seems to work because nobody's complained about it. And then if you need to revisit that at some point in time. But I'll leave that up. That might be a way to handle, you know, that issue.
Leave snow removal where it is currently. In other words, in 13.
Yes, I thought that 13 was passed. Well, my phone in the car, so I can't look up my ordinances, but I thought that that 13 was passed because there was noise behind the new marks area, and it was done in relation to that. That's at least the initial origin of it is kind of my recollection.
I think that's where we started the 7 a.m. The earliest was 7 a.m. was the Mars Plaza.
That's, yes, prohibited XB, number 1, loading and unloading, and it's between 9 p.m. and 7 a.m. Monday through Friday, and between 9 p.m. and 8:30 p.m. Saturday, Sunday.
Right, because there used to be freezer trucks that sit back there at 5 o'clock in the morning.
Mhm.
We had complaints.
Anyone else on this right now?
I guess just the odd thing is to have our hours don't match. They're not consistent across, the proposed 64815 and this loading and unloading and the snow removal listed in 13. It seems to me they would be best to be parallel.
Maybe we could relook at 13
That's
and
what I,
do the business one, business two, maybe look at the hours
correct.
on that. That was what the intent was for this.
It would be most time efficient to go back to committee.
So on section 9, on the snow plowing,
It's,
do we really need that section in here? I mean, if we have a big snowstorm and people have to snow blow or whatever at 4 AM, I mean, it's gonna have, that's gonna be just for good cause shown. But do we wanna really tell people, well, you can't really snow blow other than before 10 PM and after 5 AM, or should we? I don't know anybody's gonna be just running a snow blower for the fun of it. They're gonna be doing it because there's just good cause shown. So do we need the section? Or can we just eliminate that section completely? Find it kind of irrelevant to have it in there because of that. Unless somebody just really enjoys running a snow blower.
well, then that could be a neighborly dispute, if there's just cause, which snow is, and not just cause. Could somebody do it just to be that neighbor? Absolutely.
Yeah, but do we have that as an actual problem?
I
If
don't
it's not a problem, I don't see us needing to address it.
I don't know. How many people aren't calling because they just want to try and settle their disputes right now, currently the way they are, which I commend that, working it out with your neighbors. We don't know this.
I mean, some of this is to be proactive instead of being solely reactive.
Right.
And to say that here is a list of things that you might consider would be unneighborly, which is if you have the opportunity to blow at 7 AM, not to blow at 4:30 AM,
What about the guy that comes,
unless you have to, unless you have to.
what about the guy that comes home
Right.
from 11 o'clock at night working second shift?
Right.
And he can't get in his driveway.
That's the good
Just
cause shows. That's the clause that is good cause shown.
What about the snowplow driver who goes and clears driveways for people? Like, I don't control when they show up to do the driveway. Especially my guy, cause he's, free.
Got the guy I had before, he came at 3 in the morning.
Right, because they've gotta hit X number of houses, and if it's coming down, I think you're just creating a whole nother issue here. Well, that snowplow trail driver came by at 3 o'clock in the morning and plowed my neighbor's driveway.
And they're retired and don't go to work, so why were they there at 3 in the morning? Well, because it's a contract and the contractor shows up when the contractor wants.
I mean, I feel like the snow plowing thing is, of all the issues of noise, that is the lowest of the priorities because it really is going to be because there's good cause shown at any time. And I don't want to encourage people to go complaining about their neighbors snow plowing. Because now we're just giving them an excuse to go call the police and say, my neighbor's snow blowing their driveway. Blah, blah, blah. Can you go check on them?
When we're in the middle of a snowstorm, I think there's bigger things that our police need to worry about than getting a phone call that somebody is trying to remove snow out of their driveway at whatever time because a neighbor is annoyed because they're using whatever device to clear that snow out of their driveway or sidewalk or whatever the case may be. I think it's gonna be a waste of police resources during the middle of a snowstorm.
I mean, one thing we don't have on here is Jim Blunder's generator and the noise it makes.
I don't think you heard it.
He heard me, he told me to say that.
Section B is for your generator, sir. It was specifically put in there for your generator. And mine, and everybody whose generator runs in an emergency
Yeah,
situation.
you complained about mine, but now he's getting.
It doesn't run in an emergency situation, just pests.
As they all do.
Anyway. So where are we on this? Is there any motion to remove section 9?
I'll make a motion to remove.
Because no one seconded your motion, so.
I second to remove.
Okay, so there's a motion made by who? Wonder?
Yes.
Seconded by Mrs. Thompson to remove section 9 from ordinance 2024-0-23. Roll call, please.
Mrs. Thompson,
Aye.
Mrs. Moore,
I,
Mr. Gray,
Aye.
Mr. Bittner,
No.
Ms. Wong,
No,
Mr. Lunder,
Aye.
Mr. Johnson.
Aye. Okay. The rest of the ordinance, discussion on it.
Motion for passage as amended.
Second.
Motion made by Mrs. Thompson, second by Mr. Lunder for passage as amended. Roll call, please.
Mrs. Thompson.
Aye.
Mrs. Moore,
no,
Mr. Gray,
Aye.
Mr. Bittner,
Aye.
Ms. Wong,
aye.
Mr. Lunder,
Aye.
Mr. Johnson.
Aye. All right, this has been passed as amended. Okay, ordinance number 2024-0-28, if you could please read it by its title.
Ordinance number 2024-0-28, an ordinance amending section 250.05 vacations of the codified ordinances of the city of Mentor-on-the-Lake and declaring an emergency.
Okay, discussion on this.
I have a question.
Yes.
I understand the rationale behind allowing employees who have been employed less than a year to accrue some vacation and then use. How does B in this section affect their accrual though? I mean, it says if you're at less than 1 year, you have a maximum accrual computation as none. But after 90 days, you're allowed to accrue and begin. Does that continue for the remainder of the first year of service? It just seems like you can't have a maximum accrual computation of none if you then allow it. It just doesn't seem consistent. So,
Yeah, the table in A seems to contradict with B.
right,
Like if you said less than 90 days of service to maximum accrual is none,
right.
and then,
Or if the table said less than 1 year, maximum accrual computation, none, except as in B or something, but the two of them together on the same page sort of are in direct conflict.
I don't have it.
I mean, I think I agree. I think B is what we want.
Mhm.
That's what's fair.
So what I'm gonna do right now is,
You approve now on day 1, you just got to use it. So I guess that's like,
But then you can't have a maximum accrual of
None.
none in the first year. That doesn't make
that
sense.
should say like as.
Or it should be less than 1 year as in B or something.
Or as accrued or something.
Right.
Yeah.
yeah, so I'm going to refer this to the ordinance committee and have the administration sort that out so that we make sure it's,
I have a question. Is this the current accrual rates that everybody has?
yes, I can change it.
Okay.
okay, so this has now been referred to the ordinance committee. Congratulations.
Thank you.
You're so welcome. Ordinance number 24-0-29, if you please read it by its title.
Ordinance number 2024-0-29, an ordinance to amend the 2024 appropriation ordinances and declaring an emergency.
Any discussion on this?
This is for the year end to clean everything up. Motion to suspend.
Second.
Motion made by Mrs. Moore, second by Mrs. Thompson, to suspend the rules. Roll call, please.
Mrs. Thompson.
Aye.
Mrs. Moore.
Aye.
Mr. Gray.
Aye.
Mr. Bittner.
Aye.
Ms. Wong.
Aye.
Mr. Lunder.
Aye.
Mr. Johnson.
Aye.
Motion for passage.
Second.
Motion made by Mrs. Thompson, second by Mrs. Moore for passage. Roll call, please.
Mrs. Thompson.
Aye.
Mrs. Moore.
Aye.
Mr. Gray.
Aye.
Mr. Bittner.
Aye.
Ms. Wong. Aye. Mr. Lunder.
Aye.
Mr. Johnson.
Aye. Resolution number 2024-R-35, if you could please read it by its title.
Resolution number 2024-R-35, a resolution confirming the appointment of Nate Dewar to the Parks and Recreation Board.
Any discussion on this?
Any new volunteer? I'll make a motion to suspend.
Second.
Motion made by Mrs. Moore, second by Mr. Bittner for suspension of the rules. Roll call, please.
Mrs. Thompson.
Aye.
Mrs. Moore.
Aye.
Mr. Gray.
Aye.
Mr. Bittner.
Aye.
Ms. Wong. Aye. Mr. Lunder.
Aye.
Mr. Johnson.
Aye.
Second.
Motion made by Mr. Lunder, second by Mrs. Moore, or Mrs. Thompson for passage. Roll call, please.
Mrs. Thompson.
Aye.
Mrs. Moore.
Aye.
Mr. Gray.
Aye.
Mr. Bittner.
Aye.
Ms. Wong. Aye. Mr. Lunder.
Aye.
Mr. Johnson.
Aye. Is there a motion to amend the agenda to add on resolution number 2024-R-36 and resolution number 2024-R-37?
Motion so made.
Second.
Motion made by Ms. Wong, seconded by Mrs. Thompson. Roll call, please.
Mrs. Thompson.
Aye.
Mrs. Moore.
Aye.
Mr. Gray.
Aye.
Mr. Bittner.
Aye.
Ms. Wong. Aye. Mr. Lunder.
Aye.
Mr. Johnson.
Aye. Resolution number 2024-R-36, if you could please read it by its title.
Resolution number 2024-0-36, a resolution authorizing. Yeah. Oh, yeah, sorry. Resolution number 2024-R-36, a resolution authorizing the mayor to enter into a contract with J. Severino Construction Incorporated for the Southland Road Drainage System Improvements Project and declaring an emergency.
Discussion on this.
This is from the bid section into do the project.
Yes.
Make a motion to suspend.
Second.
Motion made by Mrs. Moore, second by Mr. Lunder to suspend the rules. Roll call, please.
Mrs. Thompson.
Aye.
Mrs. Moore.
Aye.
Mr. Gray.
Aye.
Mr. Bittner.
Aye.
Ms. Wong. Aye. Mr. Lunder.
Aye.
Mr. Johnson.
Aye.
Passage.
Second.
Motion made by Mr. Lunder, second by Mrs. Thompson. Roll call, please.
Mrs. Thompson.
Aye.
Mrs. Moore.
Aye.
Mr. Gray.
Aye.
Mr. Bittner.
Aye.
Aye. Mr. Lunder.
Aye.
Mr. Johnson.
Aye. Resolution number 2024-R-37. I will read it by its title. But apparently we're only thanking you for your law director time because, I didn't know the other part. So, I learned something today. That's always good. Resolution commending James M. Lyons for outstanding service to the city of Mentor-on-the-Lake. Whereas James M. Lyons has served as law director since January 1991, offering sound legal advice. And whereas James M. Lyons has dedicated countless hours to drafting legislation for very active ordinance and zoning committees. And whereas James M. Lyons has frequently provided detailed historical context, drawing from his extensive experience. And whereas James M. Lyons has consistently offered expert legal counsel with the city's best interests at heart. And whereas James M. Lyons has devoted the last 34, now 36.9 years to public service. And whereas James M. Lyons has announced his intention to retire at the end of 2024, now therefore be it resolved by the council of the city of Mentor-on-the-Lake, County of Ohio, County of Lake, State of Ohio. Section 1, that this council wishes to honor James M. Lyons and express its sincere gratitude and well wishes for a happy retirement. Section 2, the clerk of council is hereby authorized and directed to present to James M. Lyons a certified copy of this resolution as an expression of this council's appreciation for his service. Wherefore, this resolution shall be in full force and effect immediately upon its passage by council approval by the mayor. And now we will present. Again, we're only celebrating your 34 years as law director. So, I'm Mentor-on-the-Lake City Council, thanks. James M. Lyons, law director, 34 years, exceptional service.
Oh, my God.
Boy.
The days of gold watches is over.
Like to thank everybody. Thank you. Thank you. That was
Thank you.
overdone.
Careful.
Thank you. Thank you for your service. Thank you. Thank you, you're doing a great job.
Oh, if you want the box, the period, yeah. Yeah. If you want the box.
Oh, my, okay,
It's
okay,
nice
so,
and safe.
well. Oh.
Look into that.
Motion is suspended.
All right,
Oh, well, it's not.
Say something again.
well, you have to wait a moment. You have to wait one moment, because we have to pass the resolution first. Because if we don't pass the resolution, then we might.
It goes 3 readings after.
So you're gonna stay? Yes, please. Fantastic. He's gonna stay.
All
for
day,
3
way
readings.
too times. So thank
I
you.
heard him say he's gonna stay for 3 readings. Did you not hear that? That's fine.
Just kidding.
Everybody good with that? Anybody got a complaint? I don't have a complaint. All right, motion to suspend the rules.
Motion made.
Motion made by Mrs.
Second.
Thompson, seconded by Mr. Bittner. Roll call, please.
Mrs. Thompson.
Aye.
Mrs. Moore.
Aye.
Mr. Gray.
Aye.
Mr. Bittner.
Aye.
Ms. Wong.
Aye.
Mr. Lunder.
Aye.
Mr. Johnson.
Aye.
Motion for passage.
Second.
Motion made by Mrs. Thompson, seconded by Ms. Wong. Roll call, please.
Mrs. Thompson.
Aye.
Mrs. Moore.
Aye.
Mr. Gray.
Aye.
Mr. Bittner.
Aye.
Ms. Wong.
Aye.
Mr. Lunder.
Aye.
Mr. Johnson.
Aye. We thank you for your service.
So thank you. That was way overboard. Thank you.
Oh, no, it was underboard, but you know. All right, any other resolutions? No, we don't have anything else tonight. So new business, is there any new business tonight? Okay, the old business. Hearing none. Open to the public to speak, if you'd like to speak. Once again, please come to the lectern, state your name and address for the record. Again, it's your opportunity to speak to council, it's not a back and forth with council. Anybody? Going once, going twice? No sale. Announcements and settings of meetings. We have a Parks and Recreation Board meeting that has been canceled, is that correct?
Meeting has been canceled due to a lack of quorum.
Okay, so that is no longer going to be on December 12th. The next one will be in January.
Thursday, January 16th at 6:30.
Okay. We have a committee of the whole meeting Monday, December 16th, 2024 at 6:30 PM to discuss the marijuana. Ordinance Committee, Tuesday, December 17th at 6:30 PM to discuss a whole lot of things. Do you want to list those or?
The vacation ordinance, presented for the first time tonight. The first revisions to the short-term rental regulations ordinance. And the revisions on the street parking ordinance.
Be a long one, bring a lot of caffeine. Organizational meeting of council Tuesday, January 7th, 2025 at 7 PM. The Envision Steering Committee meeting will be Thursday, January 9th at 7 PM. Next regular agenda meeting will be January 9th at 6 PM. Next regular meeting of council will be January 14th, 2025 at 7 PM. Are there any other committees that wish to meet in this short period?
I'm gonna hold off on the zoning until after the organization.
I'm shocked. Just shocked.
Okay, much,
Shocked, I tell you.
because there's some stuff that we have to find it. Mr. Alliance is not gonna be here until.
Anybody else?
Motion to adjourn.
Second.
Motion made by Mrs. Thompson, seconded by Mrs. Moore for adjournment. Roll call, please.
Mrs. Thompson.
Aye.
Mrs. Moore.
Aye.
Mr. Gray.
Aye.
Mr. Bittner. Ms. Wong. Aye. Mr. Lunder. Mr. Johnson.
Aye. This meeting is adjourned.
Got an APD for Charlie Franklin.
Checking security camera.
Yeah, that's what you said.
Would you like to sign?
Thank you. Okay, oh my God, that's that. I'll still take it. Okay. Yeah. Good night, everybody. I wasn't out there trying to get.
Oh, yeah, you were. I would have been right behind you.
You know where it's drunk off.
Nice seeing you. Thank you.
We didn't say that I can't.